Page 6. Yesterday, Rabbi Yonatan was telling us about the common road and the explicit road, both words used intentionally. Common, because it's common to everyone, all even the tzaddikim must follow that road. Explicit, because it's explicitly mentioned in the Torah that a person must live their life according to this road. Thank you, some room. Now we have to know what the next level is. The next level is not the common road, of course, but it's the more intimate road, the more advanced road, the more pious road, the individual road. So we know that people have to keep Shabbat, they they must sit on a sukkah. Rabbi Yonatan says now the next level is not just performing these actions. Od nomar ki mi shehavin et sod haShabbat v'tachlito. Bottom of 6. He who truly understands the secret of Shabbat, the purpose of Shabbat. Umekaymo, on page 8. Al yidei shehogeh ve'osek b'yom haShabbat, and the way he engages in Shabbat is that he studies and immerses himself b'vriyat ha'olam, in the creation of the world, v'tchatshuto, and that Hashem is constantly recreating the world. V'noten da'ato al ma'aseh bereshit, and he thinks about the creation of the world, how it was created, mitchaber lekdusha pnimit, and he connects to the inner holiness of Shabbat. This almost sounds like a Kabbalistic worldview. One who understands the secret, the hidden meaning of tzitzit, and he has in mind Hashem, I'm wearing my tzitzit, it says to remember all the mitzvot of the Torah. So have in mind when I'm wearing my tzitzit to help me not forget the mitzvot of the Torah. And he reaches these higher internal levels of Kedusha. Like it says in Bamidbar, and you should be holy, Kedoshim, for Hashem your God. And he who understands the deeper meanings of not eating not kosher food. And he also stays away from those things which are permitted to him. And he only eats the food which is helpful for his body, meaning healthy food, and food which is necessary for his body. Not all kinds of luxuries and delicacies, and it's food which is both healthy and necessary. Then he understands the deeper implications of all the forbidden relationships. And he acts upon this awareness of this mitzvot. He is now traveling on the road which is the individual road. So tell me what the real difference is between the individual road and the common road.
Not every Jew reaches it.
Common road is common to everybody, general road. Individual means specifically for him alone.
But what's different about this road? What's different? He's doing the same things, but what's he doing differently?
He's refining it and looking more to a community.
Very good. He's refining it, he's internalizing it, he's thinking about it more.
I have a question here on
Sure.
the deeper implication of illicit relationships, because it almost seems to me when you see that whole section...
Barry, do you mind turning on the light if you're just walking by?
It seems to me that
Yeah, perfect.
it's almost like a free pass in a way, because so many of the illicit relationships given the Torah, I don't know about that back then, but now no one would ever think on most of them.
Most of them.
Father-in-law, this and that.
Although these ayot still exist in the world today.
There are some places,
So
but they're considered to be unusual perversions.
Of course. Well, in general, I believe that
Like family members.
what's interesting about these forbidden relationships, there is a certain personality. I don't know if it's a personality, but it's a certain. There's a certain understanding that things which are, I'm using the word perverted not in a dirty sense, things that are different than what's ordinary are very often attractive to certain people because they're different. It's like we find in the Megillat Esther that every nation loved the ladies of the nation where they came from. But you find that perhaps in the world today that there's a different Yetzirah. People are interested in what's not the way they have.
Of course, everybody's so mixed up now, anyway.
Today.
Yeah.
Right. But these ideas are many of those avarot, you're right. We might not be so interested in them today, or they wouldn't be considered normal today. I don't know if they were considered normal then, but they were just ruled out already from the Torah.
But they said that the people cried at Har Sinai when they heard
These forbidden relationships.
which means there must have been more of a Yetzer Hara for it back then.
The Yetzirah, it could be that in some, I don't know where all these flies come from.
Wish I had my exterminator.
You have a,
It has a rack, it has an electric grid.
Oh.
You turn it on.
You got that?
it's like a tennis racket.
Yeah. It's
I don't
cool.
know where these guys came.
It is fish.
What?
Fish. Some protein store.
Garbage or something.
Garbage. It's hot out. So,
Maybe I should turn this on.
yeah, maybe. Or maybe on the lowest that I can go. Hit the button on the left. Thank you. So,
Is that all right?
Oh, all right.
wonderful.
You can live with it.
Is that all right?
But you find the difference between the common road and the intimate road
It's okay.
is that the common road is more a road of action. Do this, don't do that. Do the third thing, don't do the other thing. Whereas the higher road is a road of truly understanding what it is that I need to. I want to move a chair. It's truly understanding what it is that a person must be doing. You can move the computer out of here right for that.
Ah, thank you. Two of them.
And you see here something interesting. You hear that not necessarily is more better. You're not finding the more individual road is that he's forbidding more things on himself. He's not doing more things.
It's qualitative.
Very good. It's increasing quality, not quantity. It's not that the holier you are, the less you do. Rather, the holier you are, the deeper it is that you become. The more you internalize what it is that you have learned. You know, very often you'll find that people, they so to speak, keep Shabbat. They keep kosher. How many people love Shabbat? How many people enjoy kosher? How many people truly understand why it is that I'm keeping the mitzvot that I'm keeping? This is the higher level. When we say this road is for the individuals, like Zev said, this is not a level where every person, not every shomer Torah, not every keeper of the Torah reaches this level. Don't make guys just to take the laptop off the table. You can put it on the couch. That way people will have thanks. On that little table, wherever you find room. Perfect. V'amarnu hapnimit, and I said it's an internal road. Ki lo nizkar chiyuva b'mforash, because the Torah does not explicitly tell you that you must live your life like this. V'aver ledvarim ha'ele, someone who violates these words, lo ya'anesh bidei adam, he will not be able to be punished by any kind of earthly court.
You mean you're talking about a Sanhedrin or a Beit Din by an earthly court?
Yes, yes. This is an interesting thing here. There's an old argument. If mitzvot tzrichot kavana, do mitzvot need you when you're fulfilling a mitzvah? When you're, let's say a person stays at home the whole Shabbat and they sleep from Friday night till Motzei Shabbat. They didn't intend not to break Shabbat, they just slept for 24 hours.
But there are people like that.
There are people like that. In Yeshiva, they
wake
call
up
them a
for an
bagel.
hour.
Bagel?
So, it's
Oh,
around,
I'm gonna do a bagel.
like a bagel.
A lot of people work like Wall Street, places like that, where they keep like day and night. When Shabbat comes, sometimes they'll eat dinner Friday night, sleep, get up, do a quick tefillah, sleep for the whole rest of the day until Shabbat.
So here's the question. The question is, the fact that a person was not awake the whole Shabbat, did he get the mitzvah of not violating Shabbat?
Yeah.
Let's say there is a Jew that he doesn't keep kosher, he doesn't do this because of Torah. He just every Shabbat, Friday night to Saturday night, sleeps. Does he break Shabbat?
No.
Is he considered a keeper of Shabbat?
Well, one question I would have is the mitzvah zachor at Yom HaShabbat, is that remembering it on Shabbat or during the whole, during the week? That's the first
On
question.
Shabbat, on
It
Shabbat.
doesn't have to be Jewish.
So if you're sleeping, you don't zachor,
Yeah, it's a
you
Jewish
don't
person.
remember.
Very good.
There's not. I'm saying, do you
And
have
also
to
there's
think
no
of,
there's no active shamor observance of it either. You're just
Well,
sleeping.
the observance is that you're not violating it.
Right,
like,
You're not violating the negative, at least.
right.
yeah, I'm saying right now I'm wearing tzitzit. Do I have to think about the parsha of Vayomer, like, fulfilling?
Let's say an Israeli homeless guy found a talit on the side of the street. Says, hey, this is a great blanket.
Don't.
And he uses it every day for his blanket, and he doesn't have any intention in the world to fulfill the mitzvah of tzitzit. Does he receive a mitzvah of tzitzit?
The intention's not there.
That's because but there's also a base
Is
level.
kavanah just an ideal, and then there's a base level that even if you don't have intention, you still get a mitzvah? Or is kavanah a condition to receiving the mitzvah?
Someone forced me to eat matzah on Pesach night. And I'm not intending to eat matzah, but I eat it. A Jewish person eats it. If someone else is forced to, like, eat this matzah, you get the mitzvah eating
But
matzah.
you have to make a bracha. Mitzvah.
Yeah, but if you do a mitzvah without a blessing, you don't lose the
You don't
mitzvah.
miss it. The actual
You
mitzvah.
will lose the mitzvah of making the blessing.
Well, there's different
It's
levels
funny
of it.
because-
Oh, so you see, there are different. What?
Well, it's kind of funny because the opposite is definitely people are held accountable for being the shogeg for like unintentional negligent actions, right? And you've got to give like a hot dog offering, or you've got to give some sort of
Hot dog?
not a hot dog, a hot dog offering.
Avram, do you want to bring a chair, a table?
Michael
Chair?
gave me a chair.
In the garage, we have chairs.
They didn't have it back then.
It's interesting what Dan is saying, that you have the reverse, where you could violate unintentionally, but receiving a mitzvah, Shulchan Aruch says, mitzvot tzrichot kavanah. You need kavanah to have a mitzvah. And therefore that homeless guy would never, he could wear the talit his whole life. But if he did not have in mind that he's doing it for the mitzvah of tzitzit, he will not get a mitzvah. They disagree. He's not the opinion. There are many opinions that disagree with Maran.
The Gemara comes out that when I learned the Gemara Shana comes, it sounds a lot like that. You don't.
You find a lot of the Rishonim say you don't need kavanah, but Maran and Shulchan Aruch says you do.
But the thing is there's a couple of things. Number one, does an object itself give you a mitzvah just by having it on? Or is the object, just because you wind the tzitzit in a certain way, give it a kadosh status if you use it for a blanket? Or does it only have a kadosh status when you use it with a bracha, with awareness, so forth?
Right, so this would be part of this kavanah. Are you even using it for the right purpose?
Like if a non-Jew puts on tzitzit, there's no mitzvah. The object doesn't
Right.
gain
Right.
a kadosh status for
Right.
that person.
Now let's see this piece. The Rabbeinu Avraham seems to be saying that the common road is the keeping of mitzvot without kavanah, so to speak. And the intimate road is the adding of kavanah to the mitzvot.
Well, so who was it that said that you need kavanah before?
Shulchan Aruch, Maran. Now the problem is that if that was true, so is Rabbeinu Avraham saying that people as a common road just need to perform the actions with no thought? Could we be saying such a thing? It would also make a problem for us who believe the mitzvot need kavanah. It seems like Rabbi Avraham is saying they don't. The very simple levels, they don't need kavanah. So I was thinking about this, that perhaps basic kavanah you do need. I have kavanah. My intention is I'm putting on this in order to fulfill the mitzvah of tzitzit.
So with a lot of mitzvot, of course, we say the Shem Yichud Yud
Oh, but the Shem Yichud, by the way, is there to solve this problem. So before you do a mitzvah, you should have the proper intention. But let's say I say I'm doing this mitzvah to have my tzitzit on. I want to fulfill the mitzvah of tzitzit. It could be Rabbi Yonatan saying that's the basic level. And the advanced level is to truly understand not that I'm performing the mitzvah, but why am I performing this mitzvah? Or what purpose, what deeper meaning is there to this mitzvah? What deeper meaning is there to Shabbat? I know I'm doing this in order to observe Shabbat. But what's the deeper part of Shabbat? And it says Rabbi Yonatan that not everyone reaches this level. It's a very hard level to reach. To delve into yourself. To understand the Torah, you have to delve into yourself. And to delve into yourself means a lot of things that it's not black and white. Nobody can write a book for you as to why it is that you do certain mitzvot. Some of them you have to discover deep inside of your being. And therefore Rabbi Yonatan says this is the individual road. The individual road is not for everyone. Rather, there's first a common road that we must all follow, and then the individual road.
Each one, the some mitzvot are going is assigned to him.
What do you mean?
Somebody is interested in certain thing. This is special. Nobody can do that way.
What, the individual road? Yeah, it seems like there are certain people that work hard enough in their lifetime to reach this level. But B'ezrat Hashem, may we be from those people who reach that level. God willing, next week we'll be studying the differences and the different levels of observance of the Torah based on these two different roads. And Rabbi Yonatan will bring out a very refreshing view that stringency is not necessarily holiness. Those two terms are not synonymous with each other.
It's depth, which is a different thing.
Right, very good. And depth, it could be a little more intense, a little more passionate, but not necessarily is it more fanatic or more extreme or more strict in the understanding of the word.
It's like a tip of an iceberg, and you don't see what's underneath it. So
Right.
you study it, practice it, observe it, see the changes that happen.
Right.
But I would imagine that when the Beit HaMikdash was standing, that most Jews would be able to follow more explicit in-depth road because there was more of an awareness among
Of
the
Hashem.
people.
Could be. It could be. We're assuming that
It's hard to imagine a mindless mitzvah, let's say on the grounds of the Beit HaMikdash, because you're experiencing Kedusha in such a direct way.
on Tisha B'Av I was wondering.
What?
Might get used to it at the same time.
On Tisha B'Av I was wondering.
So you get used to it like that.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Used to doing a mindless mitzvah.
Oh, we're talking about it when the Beit HaMikdash is
Becomes
standing.
routine.
So anything can become routine as well. So-
My understanding, I'll tell you the truth, sitting on Tisha B'Av, that our Batei Mikdash were not perfect either. No, we've been yearning for the third Beit HaMikdash, not the first or second, because those all had their problems. If we look, say, oh, it was a perfect world, we had a temple, we had a king, we had a government.
Always
Not
problems.
exactly. Our history was, for very few sparse episodes in our history were they perfect or somewhat decent, right? And you read most of our Nevi'im and you'll say, whoa, there's a lot of kings here. Imagine how many righteous kings you can count, and then how many evil kings you can count. They're all Jewish.
Really bad, right? It's a bad.
We had like a tough history. So we're hoping that the third temple is going to be different, but I'm not sure that the first and second temples, if the people were as glorious as we would like them to be.
I think that there were, as some writers say there were.
Meaning the Nevi'im don't even portray them. And you find Ezra showing up, and people are not even keeping parts of the Torah, entire parts of Sukkot, Tefillin.
They're killing off all the
Mashiach
prophets,
comes,
the wife of the king,
Mashiach comes,
guys
they bring the third temple from
B'ezrat Hashem.
heaven to
Jezebel, and
When Mashiach comes, we'll see what he's going to do.
Like the lowest level.
They bring the
idols in the
up to
temple.
That's what he does.
What?
Mashiach.
What about him?
Mashiach comes, he will bring the third temple already built in heaven.
I think we're going to build the third temple.
You'll be the contractor. He's good at that.
We need civil engineering.
You're building houses in Crown Heights, right?
Hey, what do we... If
I did take it on.
No, it's really cool.
Mashiach is much more complicated than we'd like him to be. Mashiach, we've already started Mashiach. People are praying, we're waiting Mashiach to come. It's already started. Mashiach has been in the process for 100 years now. We've already been in the throes of Mashiach, and we've already come back to Israel. Then we've taken back to HaShamayim. Soon we'll be taking Harabayit. And then slowly but surely we'll get there. We'll build a temple, we'll build a Mikdash, we'll teach Torah to the world. All kinds of things that we'll be doing. Mashiach will come and help us out, sanctify it at some point, but we have a Mashiach to continue.
Mashiach is one of the 13 principles of faith.
Absolutely. I'm not saying there's no Mashiach. Though there is such an opinion in the Talmud. And Mashiach Israel. He says that one of the rabbis of the Talmud says he doesn't believe the Mashiach will come. But we obviously don't believe like that opinion, right?
It seems that historically when we tried to force Mashiach to come, we thought it was Bar Kochba or somebody like that. It kind of blew up in our faces.
Right.
Even Rabbi Akiva thought that.
What's that?
Yeah.
Even Rabbi Akiva.
Right, you see that the great people fell. Always, in every generation, we've had all kinds of false messiahs show up, and big rabbis follow them. Which is why it's never a proof that big rabbis follow a certain person as the Mashiach. It's a mistake. That's not a mistake. But Mashiach is not just a person. Mashiach is also a process. And the process does not begin necessarily with the person. It could begin as a process which will lead to the bringing about of such a person. And it seems like that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu decided to do. It seems like what we've been watching with our own eyes has been a process. You have children today born in Yerushalayim. It's a crazy thing. We didn't used to have such a thing. Yerushalayim, we own it. You think about that? 2,000 years where the non-Jews stole Jerusalem. We own Jerusalem today.
Nobody wants to recognize that.
It's true, but it doesn't.
We control it.
Yeah, we control it. We have our own police officers there, and our own soldiers there, and our own schools there, and our own rabbis there.
Government did not move the headquarters. Capital. Capital is not Jerusalem. I'm telling you.
No, Israeli government's capital is Jerusalem.
Yeah. America.
Only the American government's
They're like
capital is
Tel
Tel Aviv. They can
Aviv.
stay in Tel Aviv. Who needs them in Jerusalem?
There's a whole big Supreme Court lawsuit about a Jewish kid that was saying,
Right.
I want to say that my
Jerusalem,
birthplace
Israel.
is Israel. You know,
Not just Jerusalem or Palestine.
Maybe.
I think what he wanted was that his passport said that he was born in Jerusalem.
he was born in Israel.
What happens is that in Israel, if you're born in Jerusalem, you can choose either to write Israel or to choose Jerusalem, but you cannot write Jerusalem, Israel on an American passport.
Yeah. I think that's what the lawsuit was about.
That's what it was about. He wanted Jerusalem, Israel.
They lost.
Oh, I see.
Well, listen, we already have in the Torah. The Torah tells us, "Hinam levadad yishkon." This is a nation that must live alone. Uvagoyim leit chashav, and we cannot take the nations of the world into consideration.
I'm not so worried about what that passport
A mighty. I once heard. I don't know if he said it, but I once heard the name of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. That he once told one of the Israeli government officials. It says, "Adonai oz l'amo Adonai yivarech tamo b'shano." Hashem will give Oz strength to his nation, and Hashem will bless his people with peace. And the Rebbe said the only time the Jewish people could have peace is if they're not afraid to have strength. And we've made this mistake over and over and over again. In Israel, we are self-hating people. We're constantly afraid. What are they going to say? What are those going to say? What are these going to say? We'd rather take Jews out of their own houses and destroy them and move them away, as long as the world won't say about us that we're an apartheid country. But they say about us that we're an apartheid country. So what do you expect from them? The people, Am Yisrael has to have a little bit more belief in themselves. How can we expect the world to believe in us when we don't believe in ourselves? It's something to think about. B'ezrat Hashem, we'll reach that level.
Now, I saw on the internet today that they made a statement saying that there were now more Jews in Israel than there are in the U.S.
Baruch Hashem.
So that could be a different point as well.
tipping point. That's what you mean.
Absolutely. Israel's home.
That would be a first